the first movie in the MCU is Iron Man, one of the game changers, one of the biggest game changers ever made. When this came out, I didn't see it. And I think I made the point of saying that when Disney started releasing movies, I think it was actually after Iron Man, starting in 2010, Iron Man 2 came out after The Incredible Hulk. So that's three Marvel films. And then Disney said, hey, we're going to get our hands on this and we're going to make the Avengers and we're going to make it all fun. And that's when I started watching. Once the Avengers came out, I didn't see that in theaters. I saw that at home, on on demand, and then I watched every single Marvel film in theaters following that. I saw Iron Man 3 in theaters, Thor in theaters. Every single movie following that was done in the movie house because I watched this with my dad on TV. We watched Iron Man 2, and then we saw Iron Man 3 in theaters. But the original Iron Man, which was my first MCU outing, was definitely one of the most fun Marvel films I've ever seen. This I watched on demand, and I watched it, I told you, after the movie, the big Avengers film had come out, but still to me, it meant very much on a small scale level, just it was a fun comedy. I had no idea they would make Avengers Endgame. I had no idea Guardians of the Galaxy would come out next year and be one of the highest grossing movies, one of the biggest parts of the franchise. I had no idea they were going to make Avengers Age of Ultron. I had no idea they were going to develop Black Panther, get a Best Picture nomination. Really, all this stuff, not even in my mind. I'm just thinking about Tony Stark being a really fun guy who makes really cool suits. They joke around, they eat Burger King, and he flies through the desert while this awesome music plays. Also, one of the coolest scenes in the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe is Iron Man fighting terrorists in the opening scene of Iron Man. Just awesome. About an hour into the movie, actually, after he's actually built the suit and he's defending the village from these terrorists, it's such a great scene. It's also one of the only times I think they show Iron Man fighting a human villain. He's done that several times in his own movies, but with Avengers and all that, everything has just become so much like video games. You know, you're watching these movies and they're just defeating aliens, and you know it's gonna got to get to the next plot point. I saw a great review for Endgame and Infinity War that kind of said everything that I thought about it. People liked Endgame because there was like a beginning, middle, end. I didn't like it because I thought it was a rushed beginning, middle, end, even 3 hours. And then Infinity War I liked because I thought it was just beginning, very dark, middle, dark, funny, you know, they have the bickering and everything throughout, but then it ends and it's wham, final scene, leaves you wondering. People didn't like that because it was just scene after scene after scene of characters, and unless you're a die-hard MCU fan, you can't really get into that. With Iron Man, I think you can get into it whether you're a die-hard MCU fan or not because there's so much characterization done here. This is Jon Favreau. He directs this, and he does a very good job at making the characters personable and fun, and he wants to have a good time. Keep in mind, this was the first Marvel Cinematic Universe adaptation. There had been X-Men films up to this point. There had been a Blade movie, but there had not been primarily large-scaled comedies that were superhero films as well. Iron Man was the first movie to really do that and really popularize it, and it set the mold perfectly. Ever since, we've gotten very fun movies that, you know, have the Marvel banter in space and with sci-fi and little jokes, but Iron Man really got that grounded. It had relationships such as Pepper Potts with Gwyneth Paltrow. It was really grounded. His relationship with Rhodey, who eventually became replaced by Don Cheadle. I think that was just personal reasons with Terrence Howard that he left. And this also is a really good villain that eventually got replaced. I mean, he got retconned in like Spider-Man Far From Home. They referenced this and it was so stupid. I remember thinking, why are you even mentioning this? But Jeff Bridges did a really good job. He was corny. A lot of the stuff in this is corny. I mean, it's just, you can't really take superhero movies without it being kind of ridiculous. But this film, I think, I'm making excuses for it. It really tries to have fun with its topic without being too ridiculous, such as Tony building the suit. There's a lot of development in this film. The character development is great. It's one of the best parts about it, and it's something that many movies after haven't paid that much attention to. Black Panther's done it somewhat, but even that movie, which got a Best Picture nomination, kind of skimmed on it because it already had so much character established in Captain America Civil War. That's just the issue with the Marvel movies now. Now that there's so many movies out there, it's going to be very hard to flush out characters and show who's good. And I mean, that's easy to do, but just to show, who's like your main protagonist, unless you have a lot of scenes with them, it's going to be kind of hard to just like flush it out. Now there's so many movies, so many different characters. It's a long shot from just like Iron Man. We have Black Widow that's supposed to come out, Shang-Chi that's supposed to come out, Thor, which is the fourth one in a long entry. But then you also have movies like Eternals and Avengers movies, and it all came from here. And this is a really good example of how to start. Let's see if the disc is even in here, just for satisfaction. It is. Look at that classic DVD. That's old-fashioned. That's really cool. All right, guys. Thank you for watching my review for Iron Man, one of the best films in the MCU, alongside Avengers and Guardians of the Galaxy.